Good evening, one and all. Hope you all are doing fine. This is Sonia Flavin, teacher from DYD World School, welcoming you all to a third episode of Prep Talk Show. We at DYD World School would like to pay homage to the memory of Dr. Yashwantrao Dode, the founder of our trust, MSPN. Today marks his 11th death anniversary. Dr. Yashwantrao Dode laid the foundation of our prestigious institute, and we would like to take this moment to remember his legacy and reaffirm our community to live up to his ideals. Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School has been keeping pace with the changing trends in the education system. Besides the core focus on academics and co-curricular, it also aims in inducing a professional career outlook or by helping students to acquire wisdom for the profession. We all agree that this era is of specialization, and there are so many unconventional professions to be unfolded besides the traditional ones. As you've all heard a famous saying that the winners start early, we gear up our students from grade 6 onwards by guiding them to prepare for the competitive exams like IIT, CET, NEET, NATA, NID, UCEED, and many more. DYD World School has raised the curtains to Prep Talk Show to create awareness and expose the young minds to various career options. So over to our host, Mr. Rajesh Anand, a well-known personality of the performing art world. And he's also associated with DYD World School for over many years now. Today, he will be interacting with a well-established structural engineer. And today, on the third episode of Prep Talk Show, a candid chat show with the professionals for our aspiring professionals. And this will be followed by a question answer session. So you all can write to us your questions in the chat box. Also, before we move ahead, do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. So without further ado, let's get started.
Good evening, everyone. This is Rajesh Anand. Welcome to the fresh news segment by Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School, a candid chat with professional for aspiring professional. Prep Talk. DYD World School is ICSE affiliated school in Mulund. Not just academics, we also have dance, drama, music, yoga, and sports activities. We are preparing students for various competitive exams like JEE, CET, NATA, NID, and UCEED right from grade 6. This prep talk is a part of our process of preparing students from grade 6 onwards for the future. Now, you all must be wondering why grade 6? As a student of grade 6 is almost 12 years old and is on the threshold of development. Aspects like critical analysis, better concept understanding, abstract thinking. So this age when a child can be counseled and guided, we will be mentoring the students for verbal reasoning, mathematical skills, critical and logical thinking. This prep talk is a part of a process of preparing students from grade 6 onwards for the future. Now, before we begin, I would like to tell you all that this talk show will be followed by an open question answer session. So please feel free to write your questions for a guest in the chat box. Also, don't forget to post your comments on today's talk, as it will help us to upgrade and improve the show as we go on. And lastly, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel. Now, we know that understanding a profession is the first step towards this preparation. So all those aspiring engineers here, I would like to share that engineering is a very vast field. There are many specialization areas. A few of them were shared with you in the last 2 episodes. Our guest this week, Mr. Bhargav Kolapkar. He is a structural design engineer at LERA Consulting Structural Engineers. He specializes in structural design of high-rise buildings. Mr. Bhargav's academic life is filled with amazing achievements. He has completed his B.Tech Civil Engineering from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli. Mind you, with the gold medal for the best academic performance in civil engineering. Amazing. He ranked 126 all over India in Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering, also known as GATE examination. And through this, pursued M.Tech in Structural Engineering from IIT Madras. Another feather to his cap was earning a scholarship from DAAD, German Academic Exchange Service, to this at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. Sir, on behalf of Mrs. Shweta Dode, our chairperson, Mr. Rajesh Dode, our secretary, Dr. Piyush Dharasaran, our academic director, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you on board the Prep Talk.
Thank you very, very much, Rajesh sir, for the elaborate and kind introduction.
Thank you for coming and taking out time for us. Now, before we move on with the question, sir, I would like to make one comment here. For all those students who are watching, make sure that you take into consideration each and every word that sir will be sharing with us, as this might change your career forever. So having said that, sir, we move on to the questions. We would like to know a lot of things from you, as we are naive to a lot of new things. So, sir, how did you take up this profession? How did this profession come to your mind? We would like to know, sir.
Well, I think my interest in civil engineering in general stems from the fact that my father is a civil engineer. And as a child, I spent quite some time with him on construction sites. So, there was a natural inclination towards this profession, towards this avenue as a profession. But I wanted to do something different from what my father did. So my father is a contractor. So he works on the execution sides of the projects, meaning that he builds what he receives as drawings. But I, on the other hand, wanted to be on the design side, or I wanted to be the brain behind the structural drawings that he received. Now, my interest in structural engineering in particular was based on a more rational approach. Now, we study a lot of subjects in our undergraduation in civil engineering, and I figured that there was some particular set of subjects which were related to structural engineering that I was keen on and that I was better at. So there was this again, there was this natural inclination towards structural engineering. And fortunately, I got a chance to do my postgraduate there, and I got into a company that has been doing well in structural engineering for the last 100 years. So that's how the story goes.
All right, sir. Excellent. So there are many structures added to engineering.
Yes.
How would you like to elaborate on that? Because there are many forms of engineering which has just come out, and we don't know about except for a few that are really famous. Would you like to just elaborate on a few and just enlighten us?
Yes, sure. So I think perhaps all of us know about the basic branches of mechanical engineering, civil, electrical, electronics, which are called the core branches, and the computer science. And in addition to that, there are other branches as well. To give a few examples, there's aeronautical engineering, aerospace engineering, then there's automobile, biotechnology, biochemical, then there's textile, chemical, production, metallurgy. Then there's this very interesting branch which is called mechatronics, which is a fusion of mechanical engineering, electronics, IT, mathematics. Then there is environmental engineering, marine engineering, petroleum, and a very recent addition is agriculture engineering. So there are really in a lot of avenues that you can really explore and pursue if you decide to be an engineer.
Excellent. I hope all the kids who have just listened to this are taking a note of all the kinds of engineering that have just walked in, and we didn't know about this. And sir has just let us know about all those things which have just come in. Sir, I would also like to know, how did you come into this decision of becoming a structural engineer, sir? Did you get inspired by anybody? Were there any books? Were there anybody in the family member who helped you, or was there something that shook you up and said that, oh no, this is something that I'm really good at, and this is leaning towards this profession, and I would like to take it up further?
Yeah. So I think all of us would agree on the fact that, at some point of time, we have had this teacher, who has just, touched more and inspired us. So in my case, it was our faculty for, design of concrete structures. And, that the way it was being taught and the way, it was being presented, I just, fell in love with the subject. And, I really wanted that's when, it sort of strung me that if there's something that I want to professionally do, I just want to go ahead with this particular one. And as I said before, from the wide array of subjects that we study as a civil engineer, I figured that these are the structural engineering subjects that I'm good at. So that's how I could come to a decision that this is what I want to pursue in my life.
So how did you prepare yourself from your school level? Now, since you've decided that you're going to become something which is called as a structural engineering, and what was it that in your school that you started looking for? Were there any books? Were there any person that you're inspired with? What was it that you're looking for in your school, and how did the school help you in return for something that you're looking for in your life?
Yeah. So, as I said before, if you're talking about a person, my father was an inspiration for me, to really go out there and, construct something, anything. So, I think during schooling, there was no deliberate effort from my side to work towards becoming a civil engineer or a structural engineer. But if I look back and reflect on, what really helped or what made, the process easier, it would definitely be my inclination towards maths and physics. Now, it is a different story that, I could hardly score well in physics. Well, physics, particularly the mechanics part of it, plays a very important role in my profession. So, not scoring well. So this is for all the students who do not score well in physics or in any subject for that matter. So, not scoring well in a subject does not necessarily mean that you cannot pursue a profession that is related to that subject. To come back on a track. So, as I was saying, it was my inclination towards maths, physics. Then, I had a strong aptitude for numerical ability, logical reasoning, and of course, sports. So we had Mr. Gaurav, for the first prep talk, who rightly said that, today in today's world, it's more about teamwork than individual performance. So I think I would, sort of look forward to these factors, as guidelines at preparatory level.
Sir, on a personal note, sir,
Yes.
I would just like to know, because every time I'm at Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School, I've always seen teachers giving a lot of attention to physics. Why is it that physics is considered so difficult? Because I've seen teachers sitting with the students, helping them even post school hours, and giving them a lot of backing for physics. What is it that the kids find it difficult with physics in particular, sir? This is my personal question, because this is what I see in school. And the word physics always keeps going on in my ears, every time I go. So what is it that the school is doing a lot as far as pushing kids into taking up physics, but what is it with physics that the kids are developing an allergy to?
I think the mere vastness and the depth of the subject itself is so much that you have to have a certain level of commitment to really understand every aspect of it. Yeah, as I said before, like there's a particular branch of physics that is related very closely to my profession, which is mechanics. So I was good in mechanics, but I was not good in the other subparts, like if there's electromagnetics and and so on. So I think it is just the vastness and the depth, and the subject brings so much data on the table, and there's so much to learn. So I think perhaps that could be a reason that students get overwhelmed because of the subject.
All right. So people who are developing cold feet, you don't have to worry, because the faculty is so well charged up. So you don't have to worry with your physics because every teacher there who's teaching up physics will look after you. So you don't have to worry about that. So now it is very important to balance between interest and the capability.
Yeah.
Because the age is very tender.
Yeah.
Only then you can stay focused without any confusion in your head.
Yeah.
So what is it that one thing that your family has supported with or has given you a complete backing with? For example, has your family provided you with some books or some internet guidance towards this subject? So what is it that your family has provided you with, sir?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing that my family have given me is a civil engineering gene, I suppose. But from the jokes apart, from the backstory that I just shared, I think it should be evident that my family must have been immensely supportive in this adventure. But yeah, there was always this hope or desire that agar kar rahe ho, to you do it from the best institute. And it was not just my immediate family, but a lot of learned members from my extended family that supported me in all the ways they could. Some gave me a place to stay, some take care of my food, some took care of my food, some mentored me academically, while some helped financially. And I think we as Indian kids are really blessed with this family system and this selfless tendencies of our parents and our extended unit, to provide us with the best of everything, the best of education, the best of facilities, the best of everything they can, and sometimes at any cost. So this sense of obligation was always there, to give back what the family has collectively contributed. And what better way of doing it than realizing your collective dream? So, that I think my family has played an immense role, in whatever little I've achieved.
I know, sir. And family standing by you in everything that you take up
Yeah,
boosts your energy so much that
that,
you can't go wrong with whatever you're doing. So
yes,
this is to all the parents who are watching this. This is an initiative by Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School, so that you understand as to what is happening. It is not a parent guideline talk that I'm giving, but the thing being that kids might have something different. Kids always nowadays think out of the box. So just support them in whatever they are doing, as we do in everything that they want to achieve in their lives. So my next question goes,
yeah,
for all these young guns who are looking at you, or who are just listening to you right now,
yeah.
so what advice you would like to give them to recognize their capacity, their capabilities, towards taking any profession, not just structural designing
Yeah,
in the whole, sir?
yeah, yeah. I think, an obvious answer to this question is what the school management is already doing, that is organizing sessions like these. So as children, the only exposure that we got to various professions was through our family networks. Our first contact with the working world was in our 20s. Today we have all the means to collaborate academia and industry. And I think the following, could be the following could be a few ways that either the students or the school, could undertake to sort of promote professional studies at school level. Well, uh, first could be an exposure or excursions to various workplaces. Now, I myself saw the office of a structural engineer for the first time when I joined there as a professional. So had I been there, or had I been to some other workplaces, I could have had a better idea of what they actually do. We could have excursion to various universities. Now, during my masters, I came across a very good initiative by IIT Madras, wherein it invited students from various schools, to come on a campus tour. So, they'd show all the departments, all their research that they were doing, all the facilities, all the playgrounds, their gyms, their classrooms, and so on. And when you look at it and you understand, how much this institute has to give me, that sort of immediately doubles the sort of commitment we have towards anything that we are doing to get in there. So I think excursion to such places which could really which could really you know make us committed to a certain way of doing things that we want can be really helpful. Then I think there's a technical tool of counseling, and these aptitude tests that students can take to really understand, what are their core strengths, what are their interests, and how can how they can then pick up, what really are their strengths, and then they can capitalize or build on that. Then I think another one is a little elaborate, or it is a little. It might take a lot of time for the schools to execute, but still, then what the schools can do is they can develop a database of various professions and also the academic roadmap to get there. Now, this roadmap could also include the exams that come in the way, and then the best institutes, which cater to these courses. And they could perhaps also mention what are the core skill set that is required for a particular profession. So if I have all the options on my table, then I can select. Then I have the entire roadmap to a particular career, and then I can match with what I have and what the career needs, and then that becomes slightly easier for me as a student to decide what I really want. And then the final one, I believe, is really teaching kids computer science. In today's world, computer science is not an optional skill, but a basic one. And fortunately, there are so many tools available. So there are apps, websites, and even games that can facilitate learning computer languages. So I think I really believe that either students or schools could really spearhead this initiative and make children future ready.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. Like you said, computer science is the word,
Yeah.
and like we all know, like 12 years back, just 12 years back, the computer was not considered so happening. Like
Yeah.
today, computer is no longer a luxury; it's a necessity.
Yeah.
So, like you said, computer science is the word. So I hope students are taking note of this. Sir, our students are writing to you. And before I take those questions,
Yeah.
I would like to ask, what is structural engineering?
Okay. So I would try to be as brief as possible. So every entity in this universe that has a physical form, like the chair I'm sitting in, the table that I'm leaning on, the cars that we travel in, or even the school buildings that we study at. Now, every system needs every physical entity needs a support system. Take the example of our bodies. So, bones are our support system. They help us carry our weight and perform various activities. So, the main function of any structural system is to carry loads and ensure that entity's performance. So, what a structural engineer does is that he or she designs these systems for various infrastructure projects like buildings, bridges, factories, and so on, so that these structures can maintain their shape and integrity. Now, when do we say that, okay, design something, design a structure? What does that mean? So, what it essentially means is that we are enabling it to carry its own weight, to carry the weight of all the people that are going to stay in there, and to carry the weight of all the material or all the objects that we are going to put in there. But in addition to that, it is designed for very important phenomenon like winds, earthquakes, cyclones, and so on. So recently, we were hit by the cyclone just last week, which damaged about 60,000 buildings in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Over a million structures were damaged in the Bhuj earthquake. There's a saying that earthquakes don't kill people, buildings do, and it is true in its entire sense. So, had these buildings been designed for wind or cyclonic winds, or had these structures been designed for earthquakes, could they have been damaged? Probably no. So the job of a structural engineer is to ensure that a structure stands and performs its functions not only on a bright sunny day, but also when there are phenomena like winds and earthquake. Now, what I specifically do as a structural engineer in LERA is that I work on the structural design of high-rise structures. So the structures which are over say 50 or 60 stories, which are becoming increasingly common in cities like Mumbai. So since these are special structures, they sort of need a special and a more sophisticated structural system. So in a nutshell, my job is to make sure that the building stands, enables people to perform their functions, even if they choose to live on the 100th floor, and to ensure that the building withstand phenomenon like cyclones and earthquake and thereby help save lives.
Amazing, sir. Sir, the first question goes like this by
Yeah.
one of our viewers.
Yeah.
What are the different options one can specialize in after
Yeah.
completing civil engineering?
Okay. So there are n number of options depending upon which institute you choose and you know which course you're interested in. But the most common ones are there's this first of all it's structural engineering. Then there's this course called construction management. Then there's environmental engineering, transportation engineering, then geotechnical engineering, which is related to the study of soil, the design of foundations, and so on. And then there's hydrology. And so these are the most common ones, and there are again very specific ones which are related to geosensing, geosatellites, and so on. But these are the most common ones.
All right. Thank you, sir, for answering that. The next one goes like this. Can you take us through your days in IIT, how memorable they were, and benefits of being in such a world-class institute? So they want to know actually more than the professional one. They want to know about your personal thing as to how it was in IIT.
Yeah.
So kindly enlighten us.
Yeah, sure. So I think the biggest perk that you can get as a student is being taught by world-class faculty. When there was this, I'll just give you a small example. So there was this particular subject that I thought that, I really liked and I did well. I could do well. I could design anything. I could do well in the gate examination. When I actually started studying, and after that, the advanced version of this course was being taught. That is the time I realized that I did not know anything about that course. It was just the surface that that I was working on, and it was actually an iceberg, and there was so much to explore. So having world class faculty, sharing, getting to know their vision, their capabilities, getting to know what they've achieved is itself is a huge inspiration. And of course, the perks that you get uh, of, of staying in an institute like an IIT or an IIM. They have world class campuses. They have everything, almost everything that you want to, if you want sports, if you want if you want to work on something like supercomputers, or basically anything that you can imagine of in a student life. There's this everything that such an institute can cater to. And perhaps one particular thing that the institute has contributed, which has really helped to shape my approach towards life in general, is that it gave me a chance, to study in Germany. And so I spent one semester there. It was only because I was in IIT I could go there, and I went there as a student. So there's this paradigm shift in you just imagine the world to be something, and suddenly you're out there and you are you have to deal with something they were really not prepared for, and that was a great learning curve. So this is a long list of what the institute has contributed to me as a person.
Amazing, sir. Thank you for sharing your experiences regarding your travel and the stay at IIT. Sir, according to you, what are the basic abilities or skills that a kid should have to sharpen or calculate to achieve the set targets? What are the basics? Like, for example, I would tell you, we at DAAD school prepare students for professional courses right from grade 6.
Yeah.
So at the school, we mentor students from grade 6 to grade 8.
Yeah.
For verbal reasoning, for critical thinking, for logical thinking, mathematical skills. And only after they pass the 8th standard, we administer an aptitude test, and according to the results of the test, we will be monitoring them or mentoring them for their professional courses. So according to you, what is that one basic skill, that basic ability that a kid should have, to get into structural engineering, sir?
So if I want to talk specifically about structural engineering, I think you guys are already doing, what is needed. You're working on in addition to the core skills of literacy and numeracy, you're working on their aptitude skills. So, basically problem solving skills. So that's something that you guys are already doing. But, if I wanted to add a few things for a general, for any engineering or a profession in general. So I would definitely include computer programming in that. Now that applies to me also. Even I've been trying and struggling to learn computer science. So that is one skill I think I would add to the list. And if you want to go vertically in any organization, then I would really add these transferable skills of leadership, collaboration, problem solving, effective communication, which have become quintessential in irrespective of the profession. So I think I would stick to these.
Excellent, sir. Sir, from our Champs Corner, I would be taking one more question.
Sure.
Can you elaborate more on the GATE exam? How much time did you invest to secure the rank?
Well, it's very subjective, because GATE, the syllabus of GATE includes about 3.5 years of your engineering syllabus. So it's really an ocean. But what is important is that you really have to have this knack for selective learning, and really focus on the areas that are important. So if I have to say in general, okay, so obviously, so the syllabus of GATE includes 3.5 years of study in general. But if you're starting to prepare for GATE from today, I would say I invested about 8 months in preparing for the exam, and then the number of interviews that followed on. So about 6 to 8 months.
I hope you got the answer, Champ. Now we are going into one more question from the Champs Corner. How to go about a ground investigation for a building structure, and how does the work go about? Now, I'm sure this is an older age group which has given you this question.
Yeah.
So
I
kindly enlighten us.
Yeah. I think again, it is a very elaborate process. So, uh, in very important structures, normally what we do is normally what is done is that a geotechnical consultant is employed to, research the site itself, to research what are the conditions of the site, what are the soil properties, how much load can the soil take, what is the history of the soil, and what kind of a structure are you really going to put in there. So there's this detailed field study as well as computer-based study that geotechnical engineers do. They survey the land, they take a lot of samples, test them, and based on that, they sort of give us a report of what can be done on this soil, how much can this soil take, what a kind of foundation will any structure need if it is to be erected here. And then on the basis of that report and on the basis of what the client wants, a structural engineer comes into picture and we suggest the kind of foundation that we can really do here. We suggest the structural system that can be employed here. And that is perhaps I think the starting of the planning process of any project.
All right. Sir,
Yeah.
coming back to the school life,
Yeah.
everybody has one thing which they get in their school, and
Yeah.
holding on to that particular rope, they design their future.
Yes.
Now, there are that sometimes it might so happen that what you're looking for, you might not feel or you might not get in your school.
Yeah.
What is that one thing that you felt that was missing in your school life, and you feel that oh God, if this would have been introduced in school level, I would have mastered it by this age, and I would have been doing this by now. So, what do you feel that one factor that was missing in your school life, sir?
Okay. So, well, nothing seemed missing when I was actually in school. But today, when I see the wide array of opportunities that schools like Divided AWS are providing, I definitely feel that I've missed on a lot of things. So I come from a very small town, and from a time when it felt like the only objective of going to school was अच्छे marks लाना and recess में खेलना. So personality development भी कुछ होता है, ये सब school खत्म होने के बाद मालूम पड़ा. So today, when I see kids from these schools, they are doing well in studies. They are mastering a music instrument. They are learning dance from stalwarts like yourself, and winning science and maths Olympiads. And on the top of it, they're playing a sport. So had I been in a school with such a vision, with so many avenues for personal development, such an amazing infrastructure, perhaps sky would have been the limit. Now, I would like to take a moment and mention this that I've been fortunate enough to have discussions at length with the school management, and nothing has surprised me more than their vision, their commitment, their determination to make the school a better place every single day, and their hunger to excel. What I really wish and hope for is had I had a school like this, perhaps I would have been able to build on or capitalize on it further. But if there's only, these are many things. So if there's only one thing that you ask me, I would really, for myself, I would choose this career guidance sessions. If they had been there during my times, I think that would have done me real good. Now, see, I think a lot of parents perhaps could relate with me on this. That sir, पता है हमारे time पे our who was our career advisor? Our career advisor Sharma uncle, वो uncle जिनके बेटे ने already top कर चुका है. And then for students like me, our parents would go to the Sharma uncle and ask कि भाई मतलब शर्मा जी बताओ यार कुछ क्या चल रहा है, कहाँ scope कहाँ ज़्यादा है. I think this word scope has put so many people into engineering that it's beyond imagination. And then Sharma uncle would say यार electronics में बड़ा scope है, अच्छा package मिलेगा, डाल दो. And and then and then suddenly just a lot of us got into engineering, and the got into wanted to get into electronics engineering, and the merit for it went crazy. And I think perhaps a lot of us, after getting into something, realized that ki bhai shayad this is not, I'm not made for this. So these are very common stories that we get into engineering, and engineering करने के बाद we try to figure out कि यार life में क्या करना है. So I think if the school can really work towards uh, helping a child find what his core strengths are, and ये core strength वो कहाँ लगा सकता है, कहाँ, how can he make the most of what he has, and how can he really learn and capitalize on what he has. I think that could be the biggest contribution, and बच्चा school को हमेशा याद रखेगा. If such thing happens with the child.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. See, sir, like in our school, in
Yeah.
Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School,
Yeah.
perspective drawing is also a part of the art and craft
Yeah.
syllabus, besides memory drawing, still life drawing, and geometrical drawing, etc. It's
Yeah.
introduced at a very ripe age.
Yeah.
Now, as I asked you, what is that one thing that you would like to be introduced? You said computer science is very essential to take up structural designing. Then,
Um,
then
uh, I wouldn't say it is, essential to take up structural designing, but computer science is, essential to take up any profession today. It's become, it's penetrated so many professions that, if you don't, if perhaps you don't have a skill for that, you're losing on something. So, uh, so that was, one of the, if it's specifically about structural engineering, I would say it's either, a general ability, a general problem solving skill, or, physics and maths.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope all of you who are listening are taking notes of this, and the knowledge that has been imparted by Bhargav sir is very precious. So I hope you're not dozing off, and you're taking important cues from sir. Sir, moving on.
Yeah.
Can you share that one interesting experience with us while you had when you're working as a structural engineer, sir?
Yeah. So I think this experience, goes back to when I was working towards becoming a structural engineer. And so there was this, we were in first year of our postgraduate program in IIT Madras. And April 2015, I think, that is when the Nepal earthquake struck. And suddenly everything was, everything just seemed chaotic. Like everything was on the news. Thousands, about 9,000 people had lost their lives. About, hundreds of thousands of people had become homeless. And then quickly our faculty was called on to, assess the damage, make out a plan for restoration and so on. And I think the same story, the same repeats when there's an earthquake anywhere or there's a natural calamity anywhere. But this time we knew people who were, involved in assessing and rescuing and so on. And when our faculty came back, shared those experiences with us, we were really touched, we were really moved, and we were really, I would say, uh, as I said before, the structural engineering is not about only designing something for its own weight, but also phenomenon like this. So that sort of created a moral obligation in all of us, as if there's even one building that I design in my lifetime, I'm going to make sure that that building won't even give a single scar to any person. So it's more about a moral obligation. The structural engineering is more about a moral obligation than a profession. Thousands of lives are depending upon what you design. Just imagine one high-rise building, say a 100-floor building. There are thousands of people staying in there. So what you do affects a lot of lives, and that's the events like this, unfortunately, remind us of how important is to take structural engineering in particular, very seriously, and how while designing every element, you have to take care that someday it is going to impact a lot of lives. So I think that is something that really touched me, and that perhaps keeps me grounded, and that is something that really guides me as a structural engineer.
Just amazing listening to you, sir.
Thank
So
you.
there is a vital point which I would like to tell the kids.
Yeah.
Apart from the qualification that he has got and he's absorbed from world over, he's made one comment which really touched me, and that is, it's a personal commitment to make sure that I do not give any scar to any human being who's within that structure that I have designed. And it means a lot to me, sir. And I hope you all are taking notes. Apart from what entrance exam, what qualification, there is a major responsibility when you take up something like this. And I hope you all are taking good note of what sir has said. just want to make a personal comment here, sir. Apart
Yeah,
from
sure.
being so educative, sir, you are an amazing human being, and I'm honored to interact with you at this level, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
giving
much,
us
sir.
this time, sir. I have one question from
Sure.
our champs corner.
Yeah.
How you think about making structures affordable and eco-friendly? Means what are your views about making structures affordable and eco-friendly? Is it possible in today's world?
Yes, it is. And there has been research for a long time about making structures affordable. And the obvious solution to this answer is going for what is local. So what our ancestors, and this is something that our ancestors have been doing for a long time. Just mobilize whatever resources that you have available. Just make the most of what is available with you. We really don't have to go for concrete everywhere. We really don't have to go for steel everywhere. These are expensive materials, and there are more expensive materials that are coming in the market. So I think going local and going for materials that are that work in your region is very important. And with that, take care of safety. If it's an earthquake prone region, make sure you design it for earthquake. But if it's not, then you have a certain amount of contingency in it. So I think going local, designing as per the local requirements could really make a structure affordable.
Amazing. I hope you got your answer there. So one more question. According to you, what will be the upcoming trends in civil engineering? What do you feel is the new or the in thing now in civil engineering, sir?
I think, well, that's a slightly difficult question to answer because there's just so many things coming up. And there's this one thing that catches my attention is 3D printing of structures. So we've been 3D printing for quite some time. We have been 3D printing small elements, of machine parts and so on. But we started with 3D printing small model bridges and model houses. But today we are 3D printing life-size structures. And if you just go somewhere and Google, there are these 3D printed houses and 3D printed bridges all over. And I think perhaps that is something that's going to come in, and that's going to make quite a lot of impact in civil engineering.
Excellent, sir.
Yeah.
So last question is life in IIT difficult? That is the first question. And there is a second question, because we have more intelligent students around you, and many students also leave it in between.
Yeah.
Sir, I think Three Idiots is the one which comes to my mind at this point.
Yeah.
Sir, would you like to elaborate on that, sir?
Okay. Again, I think this is an interesting question to answer. So I would just take a step back and talk about getting into IIT. Perhaps this is I think more interesting than actually staying in IIT. So competitive exams. There's a lot of hustle around competitive exams. This, that, CAT, NATA, GATE, JEE, and so on. So I think for any competitive exam, the preparation starts from asking a question that how committed you really are in preparing for the exam, and are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to go all in? If it's a yes, only then start preparing. For competitive exams, it is rightly said that it is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. It's not about how good your game is. It's about how hungry, how determined, and how focused you are. Now, I'll give you two examples. Perhaps those might seem very contrasting, but they have a very interesting thing in common. So there was this, as I said before, like our generation has been कि पहले engineering कर लो and then we'll figure out क्या करना है life में. So I had a friend, and he was trying to figure out उसको life में क्या करना है, and then he joined a course that was for MPSC, that helped prepare for MPSC. And it went for a week or so, and the one fine day the teacher came in, and the teacher said that, okay, let me give some brutal statistics. And he said that, okay, 2 or 3 lakh people are going to sit for the exam this year, and there are about 600-700 seats, and so you have to prepare really hard, work really hard, and this and that and so on. But what happened because of that, because of this statistic, that it was the last day of my friend in that class. So, he was an engineer. So, usko probability to thoda bahut aata hai. He calculated his probability of, success in that exam. And then he said that perhaps no, there's not a lot of chance. And then he did not do it, but he went on to pursue MBA and is doing fantastic in the IT industry right now. The second story. So there was this girl who did electronics engineering from a reasonably good institute, and she landed up with perhaps one of the best jobs the campus had to offer. Worked there for 2 years, and then over her working course, she realized that perhaps this is not enough. There's something more that I need to learn, and she decided to pursue MBA. So she started with the studies, and unfortunately, she was struck with a very critical illness. So as I said before, I spent about 6 to 8 months preparing for GATE. There's a similar kind of timeline, I think, for CAT that one must put in. So she suffered from a very critical illness, and she lagged in her studies for about 2 to 3 months. But then she recovered and she got up and she started studying again. But the challenge here was that she had a full-time job. So for the whole day, she had to work. Then in the evening, she had to attend her classes. And then in the night, she had to study, wake up again, study, work, classes, study, and so on. So the cycle repeated. And the exam was about 4 to 5 months, ahead. She appeared for the exam. She did well. She did reasonably well. Not that like pura pad diya. Like she did reasonably well. The scores were really appreciable. And then she happened to get calls from some IMs, and she kept preparing for all those interviews. And again, there was this surprise that during her interviews, her family was COVID-19 positive, and they stayed at the same place. But against all the odds, she prepared for the interviews, and she gave the interviews, and she could turn all the calls that she received from various IMs into actual admissions. And today she has got into IIM Bangalore. So the first question really is that, do you really think that this is it? This is for you? And in the first case, the answer was no, which was very good because it came at a very early stage. And he deviated and he went on to pursue what he was good at. And in the second case, the answer was yes. There were a lot of odds, but irrespective of those, if that girl sort of tackled all the odds and took the best of that situation. So I think the first question really is, is this profession or is this course for me? So, if you sort of have the answer to this question, then the path itself becomes very easy. Now, when I got into IIT, see, again, as students, we have been, told this very sweet lie, I would say, time and again, कि बेटा 10वीं कर लो, आगे life set है. Then 10वीं कर लेते, and then there's 11th, 12th, and then again this sweet lie comes, बेटा 12वीं कर लो, life set है. And then we do 12th, somehow get into some college, and then there's just like, see, yaar, engineering kar lo, doctorate kar lo, whatever, then life is set. So I got into IIT, and then I realized perhaps now there are no more lies. I'm getting into IIT. Life should be set, right? But when I got into it, I felt like getting was a piece of getting it was perhaps a cakewalk, but surviving here and really keeping up with what the institute expects from you as an engineer was something that was really challenging to take on. There are such great faculty there, and everybody wants you to be really good at what they teach. Everybody wants you to be really responsible and have an in-depth knowledge of the subject, because and I think it's fair, because if this is the best and you're gonna get out of the best, so you have to be best. So yes, there is uh, a lot of what I would say
Challenges.
yeah, there are a lot of challenges. There's a lot of performance pressure. But as I said before, if the answer is yes, like this avenue is for me, or this course is for me, or this profession is for me, then irrespective of what the odds are in your path, you're gonna jump over them, and you're really gonna get through, and life is gonna be set. Again, a lie.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I hope you all are taking note. There are two case studies that sir has shared with us. And the moral of the story is very simple. Once you decide as to what you have to do and where you have to go, there is no looking back. The odds are always going to be against you, but you can never give up. Speaking straight from the heart, thank you so much, sir, for coming here, for sharing, for letting us know what truly your profession is, what the challenges are. Sir, on behalf of Mrs. Shweta Dode ma'am, our chairperson, Mr. Rajesh Dode sir, our secretary, Dr. Piyush Dharasaran ma'am, our academic director, and the entire management and myself, I would like to thank you for coming here, for sharing everything that you could, and speaking right from the heart. It was a heart talk more than a prep talk. So thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
very
here.
much, sir. It was a
I would
pleasure
like to
to be
sign
here.
off
Thank you.
and wish you a pleasant evening, and also like to wish you all the very best for all the endeavors. May success be yours, and let there be millions more of gold medals and travels and meeting exciting people and meeting legends and getting all the information from them, and applying it here, and making India the best in structural
Very,
engineering.
very kind of you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Signing off.
Pleasure.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was quite a perceptive information, and we are obliged to have you on the show, Mr. Kolapkar. I'm sure the knowledge shared will be put into practice by our young aspirants. Grateful to Mr. Rajesh, who candidly etched the useful tips. I would like to thank Dr. Yashwantrao Dode World School to organize this show, and also all our participants. But do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, as many more will be here to share with you a perceptive career and answer all your queries. So be on time for our next show on Saturday, 5 p.m. sharp. Before signing off, do leave your comment for any improvement from our side. Thank you all for joining. Stay safe, stay healthy. Sayonara.